this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast is called Aging Like a Guru. Who, me? Yes, you and me. I grew up in the 50s in the Detroit area, and my dad was a physician. And at that time, physicians were like the medicine men. They were like the most important people on the planet. And we put our faith in doctors, and they did good work. And so I learned to believe that was the only thing to think about. That's where I learned to put my faith, was in medical doctors. And I had some circumstances that came up and I saw in the world where medical doctors actually can't heal everything, and they don't heal everything. And the politics between the pharmaceuticals, the insurance company, and the medical field, gave me a perspective to go, wait, is this really where I want to put my faith? And at the same time, I became aware of other healing modalities, and so it's like naturopath or acupuncture or massage therapy, energy work, that was also having very positive results in bringing people to a higher level of health and well-being. And not only that, but it empowered people to make choices that are different than just putting faith in the medical field. Like, I have to go to a doctor because this is what you do. And it's like, well, is that really the only choice? So the point of this podcast today is to question our reality, in a sense, question where we put our faith. Now, faith we think of as a spiritual term, but actually every day we put our faith in banks, where we put our money, energy. We put our faith in our cars, that it's going to get us to where we want. We put our faith in our companies, that they're going to take care of us, follow their agreements to honor us as an employee. We put our faith in our partners if we're married. So we put our faith in a lot of different places. And sometimes it doesn't work the way that we want. But we put our faith in places even though those places are not honoring us the way that we assumed they would. So the point of this podcast today is to say, where do you put your faith? And how do you choose to put your faith where you put your faith? So where I choose to not put my faith in the allopathic medicine field, I do choose to honor that they're there for me when and if I need them in the way that I might need them. And that's a personal choice where I choose to need them where I need them. There's a Netflix, documentary on Netflix called Heal, Heal. And it was really, it says what I already know in a sense, but it was so nice to see the science of it, and also some scientists and Deepak Chopra, for one person, that are talking about our capacity to heal ourselves, and that we're not aware of that, or we don't own that because we've become so dependent on the medical field. One of the statistics that they said was, Bruce Lipton said, is 90% of what we take to the medical field, to our doctors, is not, it's not related to something that needs to be fixed, other than for us to take power back, to empower ourselves to make choices that will bring healing to ourselves. So for instance, what he's saying is 90% of our illnesses are related to stress. Now, wow, that's a pretty big deal. Now, that includes heart disease, which we know is related to stress, diabetes, and other forms. I won't go into all of them. But there's so many illnesses that are being presented to the medical field that they don't have an answer to, but they will give you a prescription, but it's not necessarily in alignment with the source of the illness, because most of it is stress-related. I think that's really interesting. And for me, it's like, if that's true and it's not a medical issue, it's a human issue, then I'm wanting to see how I can choose to make choices that are going to bring wholeness and wellness to me myself. There's a woman named Anita Moorjani, And she had a near-death experience after going through cancer and being in stage 4 cancer. She was dying, in moments before, literally moments before she died, she had a near-death experience where she experienced enormous amount of love, like beyond what we imagine on this planet. And what she learned over on the other side was that we can bring healing to ourselves if we choose to. And we can choose to do that. We can choose to put our faith in our own capacity to bring healing and health to ourselves. And I've heard so many people who have had cancer who started to learn how to love themselves and how to respect themselves and put their faith in themselves. And in that process, they enhance their healing in their cancer if they chose to do chemo or radiation. That learning to love themselves and respect and honor who's inside this process, that enhanced their ability to heal themselves. So the myth that we need to focus our orientation on medical intervention, especially when we're aging, we don't have to think that way. We can, again, choose to think that way, or we can choose to say, hey, allopathic medicine is a great source when I'm needing an emergency type orientation. It doesn't have to be that I'm dependent on them and that I put my full faith in them. If it's true that we're more at choice about how to empower ourselves into wellness, then we start to look at our diets, of course, eating, what's the food we eat, what's the water we drink, what's the environment we live in, how much exercise are we willing to do. And this is not easy. I've had some issues in my body for 20 years, and I keep ignoring the source of that. I was drinking alcohol. I'd have a glass of wine, and a few days later I'd have some dizziness, and I'd go, well, it can't be the alcohol, because that was 3 days ago. And consistently I had the indications that it was the alcohol, and I kept denying that it was the alcohol. Now that's silly, but that's true. We do that as human beings. It's like, oh, I can eat this and not have any repercussions, or I can treat myself to sugars, even though I might have an insulin imbalance. We make these choices. We empower ourselves to make choices, and we have consequences to that. So how I am being in my body and how I perceive my body and see my relationship with my body, I can either continue to disempower myself by making choices that aren't in alignment with what I know to be true, or I can turn my power over to somebody else. It's my choice. I tend to see myself as an energy being, that we're all energy. That's what we are. And scientifically, we know that there's more empty space in me in terms of energy than the physical matter space. We all know that. I mean, that's what we're told now in science. They know that. And the functioning of our body at the molecular atomic level is where stuff happens, in that energetic element. So I tend to want to focus on who I am as this energy being, how my body functions on the energy level. Where am I stopped or stuck or paralyzed in terms of energies in my system? And I love that focus because it gives me an opportunity to see myself and how I'm choosing what I choose to empower myself as an energetic being. And so nourishing myself with better water, better air, better environment, being around people and environments that enhance myself as opposed to disempowering myself. Those are parts of the choices. Now, there are times where I'm going to potentially need some medical intervention in terms of allopathic medicine, and I'm going to respect that. And the point in this, again, is how do you choose? And it's never an easy choice. It's always like, is it more of this or more of that? Or can I do both? Or how do I enhance this process for myself? So I leave you with that idea: is where do I put my faith? And can I trust How much do I trust myself, and what's the degree to which I feel safe with my abilities to choose for myself? If you can do that, just be in the question of that, I'm just so happy for you and for me, because I love that. I think we have so much more capabilities than we allow ourselves, so much potentiality than we allow ourselves. So that's pretty much it for today. I look forward to speaking with you again in a few days. If you have any questions or if you have any ideas, stop by my website, theparadigmshifts.com, and give me a shout. All right. Bye for now.